The US administration said that it will reconsider the way that sensitive diplomatic information is being handled. Do you think that the latest leaks show that they were negligent in the first place?
Well, most of this material is not really very highly classified, and it doesn't contain a great deal that the world wouldn't have suspected already. The difficulty is, of course, that there's been a great deal of discontent with United States foreign policy ever since the Iraq War and with the continuing occupation of Afghanistan. So in this electronic age, you're bound to have people putting out information into the public domain. That's a new fact of life that diplomatic services have to come to terms with.
Now, you have more than 20 years in service as a British diplomat. 6 of them were in the senior management structure of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Tell me this, it's clear from the leaked documents that the diplomats often use abusive language in their cables. Is it appropriate for diplomats to speak honestly about world leaders?
I think diplomats should speak honestly about world leaders. I think the difficulty is that you have people speaking honestly in private cables, but not speaking honestly to people's faces. You know, diplomacy shouldn't just be a synonym of duplicity. If you have a problem with a world leader, you should tell them so, explain what that problem is, politely but firmly. Where you get trouble is where you're very polite to people's faces and then very rude about them in private, and that sort of behaviour shouldn't be any more acceptable in diplomacy than it is in private life.
So you're saying it's appropriate to be honest in diplomatic relations here, but let me ask you this. When you were ambassador to Uzbekistan, you were rebuked by the head of the diplomatic service for reporting to London about human rights abuses conducted by the Uzbek administration. And basically, the FCO, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, did not appreciate you speaking honestly here because, as they say, in your article it says, for it might endanger the Uzbek alliance with British forces in neighbouring Afghanistan. So you're saying it's appropriate, but is it also risky, to be honest?
I think honesty is usually the best policy in the long run. The difficulty comes where you pretend, for example, the British American governments pretend to be very concerned about human rights worldwide. But in fact, in certain countries, they're willing to overlook human rights abuses. You won't see them talking much about human rights abuses in Saudi Arabia, in Israel, or in others of their close allies. And I think the big embarrassment for them is that that kind of double standard is exposed by these leaks.
So are you saying, though, that government secrecy in some part is essential when it comes to international relations?
I don't think anybody can say there should be no secrets. That would be a crazy position to take. But I think far too much is kept secret, far too much is kept confidential, far too many documents are overclassified, when a more straightforward and honest approach would remove the need for that. And remember, the public are paying for everything. The public have international relations conducted in the name of the people, and people really have a right to know what is going on.
Now, the countries mentioned in the leaks condemned their publication. Do you think that the revealed documents will possibly affect their relations long term?
In a sense, I hope so. It's going to be much more difficult for the United States client states in the Middle East, for example, to behave in such a duplicitous way. I know, there are an awful lot of Saudis who are going to be shocked to find that their king has been openly advocating that the United States should bomb Iran and urging them to bomb Iran, and yet at the same time there's no sign that the Saudi king had any concern about Israeli nuclear weapons. Those kind of attitudes being revealed publicly are going to come as a shock to ordinary people in that country, and that's only one example. So these revelations could indeed have some long-term repercussions.
Now, I am running low on time here, but in the coming days, the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is launching a diplomatic tour going to the Middle East, possibly to the Far East. Do you think she will have some questions to answer here?
Well, I think there's some embarrassment in relations. People aren't going to be keen in host governments that things they said they thought in private have become public. So yes, Hillary Clinton undoubtedly has a great deal of egg on her face as she travels around the world.
All right. Former British diplomat, live from London, Craig Murray. Thank you.